Living podcast with your host, Sana. Today, we are diving into a topic that affects not just business leaders, but anyone looking to create a meaningful impact: personal branding. Now, in a world where visibility and authenticity are key, how much effort does it really take to build a strong personal brand? Is it just about posting on social media, LinkedIn maybe? Or is there a deeper strategy behind it? And to help us unpack this, I have Alan, co founder of Strata Originals, a personal branding agency specializing in working with CEOs, executives, and entrepreneurs. Now, let me share a bit about Alan with all of your listeners. Alan has trained over 600 CEOs in the last 2 years alone, bringing 2 decades of leadership experience in public relations, marketing, and executive branding. And Alan believes personal branding isn't just about visibility, it is about clarity, authenticity, and intentionality. And he's here today on BizPlan to share how we can all define and elevate our personal brand no matter where we are in our journey. So, Alan, welcome to the show, and it's an absolute honor having you with us.
Donna, I'm happy to be with you, coming to you from Canada. So we're just a few miles away from each other.
Yeah, yeah, we are just a few miles away. So, Alan, before we talk about personal branding, because we're talking about personal branding, so why don't you share a bit about your journey with all of us?
Happy to do that. So I've been in several different industries over the years in sales and marketing, in business equipment, in IT security. I've run a publicly listed IT security company. I've been an entrepreneur. I've been in private business. In the last 20 years, had a marketing agency that did all the traditional marketing that people would understand, from Facebook ads to social media to campaigns and things of that nature. And then about 4 years ago, we moved into the world of personal branding. And the reason we moved into the world of personal branding is we saw an opportunity, with the advent of AI and technology. We said there's got to be a way to humanize what's actually happening on the internet, and so we saw an opportunity and productized an offering in the scope of personal branding to help CEOs get out there, because it helps differentiate them, it helps humanize them. So my story really has, in a kind of reverse way, I have found a passion for this work that I never expected to, because Sana, I will tell you, it is about transformation, not just marketing. And we can talk about that further, but that's my story.
Mhm. Oh, super. Thank you for sharing that, Alan. And many people think of personal branding, as simply, that's what I mentioned in the intro, simply having a LinkedIn profile, a very great headline, and, posting great posts, or maybe consistently on social media. So, in your words, how would you define personal branding at a deeper level?
Well, the starting point is that we all have a personal brand right now, don't we? Doesn't matter if you're an executive or a student. When people describe you, I often say this: your personal brand shows up in the room before you do,
Yeah.
and when you leave, it stays.
Yep.
And what does that mean? Does that means that people describe you today, Sana, even yourself? People would say, "Oh, Sana, I know her. She is," and then they would have some adjectives to describe you. So the
Mhm.
start point is to understand who you are, and then the second part is to understand how you show up in the world. And what does that mean? Well, you show up with your family, or you show up with your community, or you show up with your sports teams, or you show up digitally. To answer your question on digitally,
Mhm.
all of those combined make up how people think about you and feel about you. That's your personal brand. What digital does and LinkedIn does is allow it to be intentional and scalable while you're sharing the best of you on those platforms. And then we can talk more about the how they do that. But ultimately, it's not just that, because it's every touch point you have. When you go to an event, how are you acting there? People remember that. When you're going to a family event, how are you acting there? So personal branding is about your reputation. And LinkedIn is just one way to help share the best of you about your reputation with the world.
Hmm. Hmm. That's really a very important distinction. Um, okay, so if someone is just starting out, what's that first step they should figure out or they should start take to just gain clarity about their brand?
The perfect word is clarity, right? So the first thing is to understand a couple of things. So number one is, what are you known for in the world right now? What do people know you for? Number
Okay.
2 is, based on that, are you really comfortable with your credibility in the world? So if you wanna be an IT security person when you're sharing your content, do people see you that way? And if they don't, that would be a bit of a gap that you wanna close, right? So that's
Yeah.
the one thing. Number 2 is, where your passions lie, right? Are you passionate about the work you're doing? So in my case, very passionate about both leadership and
Mhm.
personal branding, and I tie those together with my content because my audience wants that from me. They see me, and I'll give you a perfect example. When I started this journey 4 years ago, I went out and I said, "Okay, I see myself as a leader and a marketing expert at the time." So I did videos on marketing, I did videos on leadership. I got crickets on the marketing. Nobody cared that I knew about marketing. They did care at the time that I knew about leadership. They saw me as a leader. And so subsequently, I've pivoted to now personal branding because it's our new passion. But it just shows you need to get that clarity first before you start communicating with the world. And you can do that through the testing that I did or through the people in your network. So that's how I would start, is to understand those two things to get you started, and then go follow some people that you want to emulate and learn what they're doing. That's a great place to kind of figure out where to start.
Hmm. And now, from this one question comes to my mind, Alan, that you mentioned that 10 years back you were a marketing expert, and now um, you are redefining personal branding. So, does that um, that one important distinction changes with the trajectory or journey of the person's career, professional life, or it should ideally remain the same? I mean, how exactly should be?
So your humanity, if you will, or your approach to the world never changes, right? You are who you are. You're either intellectual or you lead with emotion. I tend to lead with my heart. So that never changes, because remember, you're connecting with people you know for the most part, right? Unless you're, a big influencer where you're trying to get to hundreds of thousands of people, the average person is branding to the people that know them in some way. They went to school with them, they played sports with them, they're in their family, they're in previous businesses. And just think about this, how many people today have been in the same career all their lives? Very few.
Right.
So the idea is to thinking about yourself, and you make a transition in your credibility and your knowledge, but you're not transitioning in who you are and how you come across to the world and your authentic self. That's what never changes. So in my case, the transition was easy because the people who followed me because I'm Alan, not because of what I know. And now that I'm teaching in this world, it changes how they see me, and they help me with referrals and all kinds of things that happen because they now know what I do, and they see, and this is really important for anybody out there thinking about this, that I never sell a thing when I'm on these videos. I teach people,
Mhm.
I wanna give of myself, but they know who I am. If they wanna work with me, it's kinda obvious, then they'll reach out, and that happens to me every week. Someone wants to work with me after they've seen or experienced my content over a few weeks or a few months.
Mm, that gives so much clarity. Great, great. And talking from the perspective of entrepreneurs and executives, they really struggle with the time and effort required for personal branding. From your experience, Alan, how much effort does it really take to build a strong personal brand? And what are the key areas people should focus on, especially entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so the truth is it takes as much time depending on the goals you're trying to achieve, right? So if you are an entrepreneur and you're trying to build your business, understand one thing. This is one of the best ways to build trust that exists in the world. Because when you're marketing to somebody, if they're not in the market, you're interrupting them, right? But if you are sharing of yourself and being a giver and helping people, they'll want to follow you passively until they need your service. And then Marketing 101 says, oh, personal branding. I remember I saw this Alan guy. Oh, that okay now. Oh, yeah, and I had to reach out to him and do that. So there's a probably a bigger reason than they even think about to spend time with us because they all spend time on sales, right? Well, what is sales? Sales is about building trust. So this is a trust building exercise, isn't it?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
as they do that, now they can start to say, okay, what do I do to start? Well, here's what I'll tell you. The best thing to do is to start. Which means what? Go on LinkedIn, make sure that your profile tells your story properly. Make sure the title that people would search to find you is easy to find. Make sure your picture is not from 20 years ago, but from today. And then now you have your little mini website of you. Make sure your story is really, really clear on your LinkedIn. That'd be the starting point. The second part is to now go and engage with the people you're already following and connected with and communicate with them and celebrate them. So Sana, you and I have connected. I'll go on your LinkedIn and go, hey, Sana, that was a great video. I love what you talked about there. Because then you'll feel the obligation to be reciprocal to me. And now we're building a relationship. And you can do that, 15 minutes a week. Now you're out there at least communicating with people who already know you. So that's if you do nothing else, do that 15 minutes a week. The second part is start to develop content, whether it's written or video. We love video because it's the most authentic one. But once you have clarity, start to record videos on your phone or on Zoom or on Teams and start to test out, before you even post it. Just make sure you're comfortable telling a story in under 2 minutes because that's very important. You can't drone on for 5 minutes on a video until you're famous. When you're famous, people will listen to you for an hour. When you're not, give them something enough to get them to go, what a cool individual. I want to learn more from them. They have really good perspectives. So that's what I would say is a good way to get started. In terms of total time, Sana, it could be as much as, 2 hours a week to 5 hours a week. It depends on your goals and what you're trying to do. In my case, I don't spend more than an hour a week on my personal brand because I've learned how to batch content. I can record 8 videos in an hour, and that's 8 weeks of content for me. So, because I've learned how to storytell. Everybody can learn that. And, if you're the right audience, get some help. Get a coach, get someone who can teach you. Go follow our videos and kind of learn from us. For those who don't want help, just go learn from us. Follow our newsletter. All those things will teach you what to do because the benefits don't happen in a week. They take sometimes months and months and sometimes years to get where you need to go. So that's how I would say is a good way to get started.
Wow. Wow. So much of information in a very, very crystal clear way, crisp and crystal clear. That's the power of storytelling and, just the right amount of words. And also, many of the entrepreneurs, they don't. I think maybe it's not in their belief, or they don't exactly wish to be at the forefront and be more and more expressive on social media. So, especially introverts, or, who they don't feel like they may not feel comfortable with social media. So, for them, how, personal branding can be, navigated.
Of course. So the interesting thing is, you'd be surprised how many introverts are actually out there on social media. But here's and you know how much fear? 9 out of the 10 people we work with
Mm-hmm.
have fear before they work with us. 9 out of 10. So for Mr. and Miss Entrepreneur, you were not alone. because you have fear when fear is always unfounded, right? We all know that, right? But it feels real, that's for sure. So how do you overcome that? Well, the first thing is to make sure you understand why you're afraid. Is it because you don't want to look foolish? You don't think you have a story to tell? You don't think that people will listen to you? All of those things. And the answer to all of that is if you dive in and say, I want to do this because it will benefit me in this, and this way, then I need to learn and grow and transform. So I learn that skill so that I can break the fear down and actually get out there because the benefits are unbelievable. And with our clients, it's exactly that. We were just on with a gentleman not 2 minutes ago. That's exactly what he says. I'm still afraid to do that. I said, but that's why we're here to help you. We're going to help you understand how to do this. We will teach you how to tell a story in under 2 minutes, and you'll practice it until you're comfortable. And then you'll get confident after you've seen yourself 4, 5, 7 times on video and go, okay, that does feel like me. It feels real, feels authentic. It feels like I'm in a coffee shop talking to a friend. And then you've nailed it. And then you can overcome your unfounded fears because you've learned the skill and you've transformed yourself into somebody different for the benefit of your business or your family or whatever is important to you.
Mm. That makes it easier. And also, one of your core principles is authenticity. And I think in this age of digital world, I think authenticity is the most important factor. So, how can individuals ensure, Alan, that their personal brand remains genuinely authentic?
It's the easiest question you've asked me is you just have to be yourself. So, what does that mean? I know I'm not funny. I could not tell a joke and make you laugh. So I'm not going to be funny. I know that I lead with empathy and my heart. So that's what and do I have to practice that? No. You and I are talking today. If we were on video, it would be the same conversation. If I was talking to my wife, it would be the same conversation. If I'm leading a company of 400 people, which I have done, it's the same thing. So in other words, your authenticity follows you everywhere if unless you're trying to play a game. If you're trying to be somebody you're not. I'm trying to look like an intellectual. Guess what? I'm not going to look like an intellectual because I'm not an intellectual, right? So you understand who you are, act that way all the time. And then when you do content online, that comes across really well because you've seen the videos, and I don't have to tell you who they are, where you feel like it's what we call cringeworthy. You go, oh my God, that just looks terrible and feels terrible because someone's trying to be somebody they're not. So the way we record videos is we tell our clients, it's just like I'm having a coffee with you in a coffee shop and I have asked you a question and you're answering it just like that. We just happen to get that on camera. That's it. That's how you do it.
Oh, love that. Love that. Um, okay. And since you have that experience of coaching leaders, I, I think I would love to know, and listeners would also love to know some of the biggest mistakes that you have seen people make when it comes to personal branding.
The number one mistake is trying to sell while they're doing personal branding. What we believe is there's a big difference between the influencers that you see on social media, on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, who are purposely trying to sell you something. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. It's the creator economy, and I'm fully supportive of that. But the way that we talk about personal branding is if you go watch any of my videos, you're never going to see, and oh, by the way, the coaching's on sale this month. So here you go. Because then it takes away the authenticity, right? Of my goal is to teach you, my why is to inspire you. So if I can inspire you and the people that are on this podcast to get out there and explore the topic more by go following our newsletter or going on our LinkedIn and just engaging and learning, then I feel really good about what I've done. And the people who cross those two lines are where that's the first mistake. So they're trying to sell. Listen, I want to sell too. You're never going to feel that when you listen to one of my videos because I want you to learn. That's my motivation. If you're a client, you will come to me naturally. And I'll give you two examples that happened last week. One example was I saw somebody saw a post on Instagram and looked me up and said, "I'd love you to come and talk to our group and do a speaking gig." I'd never met him before. Do a speaking gig in New York. How much do you charge? I told him how much to charge. Great. 5 minutes later, sale was done. Don't know how that worked. Another person from Cyprus
Mhm.
reaches out to me and said, on the post, I think I need some help with my personal brand. Great. Reached out to her. We had a meeting. I have a client. Two of those happened. I don't know these people, never met them before, but I built trust with them through my content. And now they wanted to work with me because they feel like they know me already. Isn't that magic when you can do that? And that's why it takes time to do that. If you started tomorrow, it takes sometimes a year to get to a place where people have trusted you because they've seen you 7, 8, 9, 10 times and they say, oh my God, he's not selling me hard. He's just trying to help. Those are the people I want to work with. So that's the example of doing it right. And doing it wrong is, sometimes if you write a post and it's, a page and a half of reading, no one's going to read that. Be crisp, be enticing, be helpful, be giving. That's really good. And if you're going to do video, don't overproduce it. Just record on Zoom or on your phone and don't have B-roll and all kinds of, pop-ups and perfectly done and recorded in the studio because it feels like marketing. And when it feels like marketing, it's not going to be trusted. But if it's my face or your face, people will trust that over time.
Wow, golden nuggets. Great, great, Alan. And of course, if our listeners would wish to connect with you, how they can do that.
Lots of ways. Probably the quickest way would be LinkedIn. So Alan McLaren on LinkedIn. And if you want to connect with me, just tell me that you found me on the podcast with you, Sana. And then there's our website, strataoriginals.com. We've got lots of videos. I have a YouTube channel. There's probably 50, 60 videos. You can go learn and learn and learn. That's the best ways to do that. And if you want a worksheet to help you build your own personal brand, when you connect with me on LinkedIn, let me know, and I'm happy to send you a worksheet that you can use on your own to help you build your personal brand. So that's the ways that I think would be to reach out, and questions are always free. So happy to help that as well.
Lovely. Well, for the ease of our listeners, I'll definitely have all the links mentioned in the show notes. And Alan, thank you. Thank you so much for this eye-opening conversation on personal branding. So, it's obviously it's clearly more than just social media. It's about clarity, authenticity, and impact. So, thank
100%.
you so much.
My pleasure, Sana. It was nice to be with you.
And to all of our listeners, that was Alan McLaren for all of you, giving us a masterclass, one of his masterclass on personal branding. So to connect with him and check out all his resources, refer to the show notes along with this episode. And thank you so much for joining us on this another episode on Biz Blend. If this conversation connected with you, do take a moment to reflect on how you show up in the world, whether professionally or even personally. And if you found this discussion valuable, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us for more such inspiring conversations with inspiring guests like Alan. Until next time, this is your host, Sana, signing off. Thank you.